This page is the front cover of N64 Pro, and blimey, what a cracker it is! You've got Chef from South Park front and center, looking a bit grim, under a huge N64 Pro masthead. Looks like South Park is a big deal this issue, with headlines for 2 new games, Chef's Love Shack and South Park Rally. Remember those? Chef's Hut for some red-hot lovin', eh? And putting your foot down or Kyle kick your... Well, you get the picture. Up top, they're flogging free sweets and a Quake 2 book. Always a nice bonus back then. There's also an F1 World Grand Prix 2 Minimag guide, and a mention of Game Boy Nation. Down the bottom, the beloved Pikachu is featured for a Pokemon Snap review. And look, there's a bloke pointing right at you, plugging the official guide to Premier Manager and hinting you can win a DVD player. Proper late 90s stuff. Then there's the Play to Death section listing a few heavy hitters. Command & Conquer, F1 WGP2, Shadow Man, and the legendary Perfect Dark. Can't get enough of those classics, still hold up. Mostly. A packed cover promising plenty of N64 goodness inside. This Nintendo 64 Pro magazine page is packed with content. It features cheats and tips for numerous games across various platforms, including a cheat master, highlighting a vast list of titles. Readers can access cheats via premium phone lines, an audio service, faxback, and a prize-laden competition hotline. A cheat mistress advertises a GoldenEye walkthrough. The page also introduces the magazine's team, featuring quirky caricatures and descriptions. A South Park character, Stan, complains about the heat while advertising the N64 Pro issue. Finally, the 8 Commandments outline the magazine's commitment to honest reviews, expert input, reader engagement, and up-to-date content, laying out the magazine's core values. This page gives us the full rundown of what's inside this month's issue. Right away you see we're getting not 1, but 2 cracking free blaggers guides. One for Premier Manager 64, which sounds like a deep dive into mastering that beast, and another for Quake 2, promising to show you every single secret and baddie in that glorious game. The big splash this month is the South Park cover story, featuring none other than Chef, looking suitably massive. Looks like they're previewing a couple of games, one of which is apparently a bit grown up. Elsewhere we've got the usual regulars section, checking out games like the super promising Perfect Dark and the dark delight that is Shadow Man. There's also a hefty reviews section, covering titles like the addictive Pokemon Snap and Command & Conquer. And naturally you've got your reader reviews, the vital tips, codes and cheats section linking up with the previous page's goodness, plus the lowdown on what's coming soon. Plenty to get stuck into here, lads. This South Park cover story previews 2 upcoming games. Chef's Love Shack is a Mario Party-style minigame collection hosted by Chef, featuring questionable humor. Cartman's Skid Marks is a kart racer with South Park characters and vehicles, featuring weapons and the usual Kenny deaths. The article also highlights other games like Roadsters 8, Shadowman 10, and Perfect Dark 10. There are competitions to win South Park merchandise and game vouchers. Finally, the article includes UK chart data for various platforms. This page dives headfirst into the highly anticipated racer, Roadsters. After giving us a taster last issue, they're hyping it up as potentially the best 1064 racers out there, even better than World Driver Championship, apparently fixing the issues from its predecessor, Automobili Lamborghini. They're raving about the visuals and smooth gameplay thanks to this new 3D engine. Can't wait to see more details next time. Warrington Woes. Also on the page they give us a brief mention of the F1 WGP2 review, calling it a sequel to the best F1 game ever, which is quite the claim. And for those who like getting ahead, there's a pointer to the cheat zone on page 66. Now onto the good stuff. Competitions. You can win a DVD player, but it's a 2-part question spread across 2 issues. Looks like the first answer is helpfully provided right there, digital video disc. There's also a chance to snag one of those funky cushion joypads sounds. Interesting. Just tell them the largest muscle in your body for a shot. Looks like a busy page with plenty to look forward to, both in games and freebies. This page kicks off with a look at Shadow Man, described as a mature title packed with dark themes like voodoo and serial killers. Apparently you play as Michael Leroy, who can travel between the living world and the dead using a teddy bear. Sounds perfectly normal. Despite the grim premise, they reckon it's surprisingly funny, promising laughs alongside the horror. Looks like a wild ride based on the screenshots of creepy locales. Down below, we get the lowdown on Revolt, a zippy RC car racer that looks like a blast, promising great visuals and twitchy handling. They highlight the oversized environments like supermarkets and museums, which sounds pretty inventive. Then there's Perfect Dark, the much-anticipated follow-up to GoldenEye. The magazine is making some bold claims, saying it blows GoldenEye right out of Nintendo 64 in terms of visuals and cinematic quality. They're also hyping up the multiplayer bots and simulants, which sounds like a great addition to keep the action going. Rounding out the previews is Monster Truck Madness, described simply as looking monster. It's all about big trucks, dirty off-road tracks and massive jumps. Straightforward smashing fun then. Finally, there's a big ad for Premier Manager 64, claiming it's the only football management sim you can play on the N64. This page is all about the Star Wars madness that hit with Episode N apparently being hotter than a lightsaber. Well, you get the idea. They're looking at the merchandise craze. From costumes they reckon kids don't know how good they've got it these days, with full Darth Maul gear to kooky Star Wars kites. There's even mention of R2-D2 pop-up toy tidies, which sounds like a genuinely useful bit of kit to make cleaning up less of a chore. Naturally, they're running a couple of comps off the back of it, asking questions like the full title of the first Star Wars film and which movie Episode 4 is. Further down, there's a shout-out for the Disney Channel's Kids Awards 1999. You could vote via McDonald's apparently, across loads of categories. Crucially for us, Best Computer Game had nominees including Zelda, Bugs Life, Spyro the Dragon, FIFA 99 and Gran Turismo. Winning could bag you tickets to the swanky event, or some goodie bags. Over on the right it looks like the Rugrats are getting in on the action. There's a big cartoon illustration of the babies dressed as explorers with Chucky declaring, "Grab your hats babies, we're going in." It seems they're embarking on a totally new adventure, all set for September 99 on the Nintendo 64, courtesy of THQ. Looks like a new game is on the horizon. This page features Scoop's gallery of games, where this rather artistic-looking dog, Scoop, fancies himself a curator of the finest screenshots. He's even got a little intro speech about how he's got a common artistic bond with the likes of Munch and Van Gogh. Quite the chap, isn't he? He's showing off a few upcoming beauties here. First up, Donkey Kong 64, which he saw at E3 and reckons will be the king of platformers when it arrives later this year. Then there's Perfect Dark, asking who this sexy Joanna chick is who's claiming to be better than Bond, a bold claim indeed. He hasn't just seen it, he's played it with his own paws apparently. Down below we've got WWF WrestleMania 2000, ready to rumble and dragging grappling games kicking and screaming into the next millennium. Seems THQ is getting stuck in after those watered down sequels. Next to that is Sprocket, a 3D platform puzzler about a maintenance droid saving the world. Apparently, if you don't go nuts for this, you must have a screw loose. Finally, there's Monster Truck Madness, which sounds like utter madness driving huge monster trucks on treacherous tracks, and even playing football with them sometimes. Madness, I tell ya. Each game snippet gives you a little pointer towards its expected release month with a neat paint blob. A massive N64 release schedule for the coming months is featured, highlighting the sheer volume of games. Must-buys include Mario Golf and Quake 2. The page lists numerous releases from August 1999 to 2000, covering a wide range of publishers. Forthcoming attractions include Perfect Dark, Jet Force Gemini, Donkey Kong 64, and Conker's Tales. The Bubbling Under section previews Armorines, positioned as Perfect Dark's main competition. This page dives into the N64 Pro Software House Leagues, where publishers compete based on their reviewed games, bit like footy tables but with more points for less polygons. You've got the Premier League and Division 1 here, showing who's top dog based on how many excellent or shite games they've put out. Nintendo, as usual, are lauding it at the top, boosted by absolute gems like Mario Golf and World Driver Championship, while poor old Titus seems to have had a bit of a mare this month, dropping down the table. Mario Golf even gets the star player nod, which is spot on. That game is proper addictive. They also feature A Reader's Dream Team, this time from South Park, which is a good laugh, listing Cartman, Chef, Kenny, and the rest with some classic descriptions. The whole league system is explained too. Apparently, it's all down to Merlin, aka Noalee, casting spells to determine the scores. You can see screenshots dotted around, showing some of the games that contributed to the scores, like Quake 2 and Superman. It's all a bit of fun really, tracking which publisher is knocking it out of the park with their releases each month. This page reviews F1 World Grand Prix 2, Pokémon Snap, Command & Conquer, and Shadowgate. Pokémon Snap is a major highlight, praised by Steve for its originality and fun, but Mark finds it a bit too family-friendly. Other reviewers also enjoyed it, comparing it to developing photos at Boots. The review explains a scoring system, including the Sore Thumb Award for top titles, and details categories like graphics, sound, gameplay, and lastability. Screenshots of each game are included, showcasing their different features. The review also connects the scores to the software house leagues discussed on a previous page. This page is all about Command & Conquer 64, and Mark's here to whip you into shape for the review. He's gone full drill sergeant, starting with a barked command and adopting the persona of a warmongering maniac ready to send thousands to their doom. He explains that C&C is a real-time strategy game, a pioneer for the genre on the N64, giving you control over whole armies rather than just a single character. Mark emphasizes the attitude needed, joking about needing a Hitler tash and screaming, "Atta AAAAAACK." He notes that your troops aren't exactly tactical geniuses on their own, so you need to be on hand to organize things, or they'll likely peg it quickly. The game offers a blistering array of death-dealing units to command. The page includes a helpful diagram showing how the N64 controller maps to the game's actions, from moving the pointer to shouting orders. There are various screenshots showing different aspects of the battlefield, including bases, units, and structures under attack. A little tip: XTRA offers a cunning strategy for getting close to the enemy. The bottom panel features a sequence of images and text introducing a character named Seth and setting up a mission objective in classic C&C style. Mark clearly enjoys the commanding power the game gives you, even if you're just ordering troops around. This page continues Mark's deep dive into Command & Conquer 64, showing you exactly how to dominate the battlefield. He walks you through a typical mission scenario, starting with your base under assault, classic, and showing how you fend them off, get reinforcements, rebuild, and eventually take the fight back to Nod by securing their defenses and using engineers to nick their buildings. As for tactics, Mark's got the best advice. Build an absolutely stonking army. He suggests chucking out 50 machine gunners and grenade throwers early on, because they're cheap and effective. Beyond the basic grunts, you've got Humvees, tanks of all sorts, and the mighty mammoth tanks that look like brick walls on legs. Don't forget the air power. Orca jets and A-10 Warthogs are on hand to rain down fiery death, and eventually, you can just flatten the enemy with the nuke. He warns that units have weaknesses, like heavy tanks being vulnerable to bazookas, but flame tanks being brilliant at barbecuing infantry, so mixing your forces is key. And how do you afford all this lovely destruction? By building harvesters to rake in that Tiberium, of course. He shows off some vital purchases like the Destroy Anything obelisk and the importance of a mixed army. Basically, if you've got the cash, buy everything and go nuts. This page finishes off the Command & Conquer 64 review with a very respectable 81%. Mark explains why you'll dig it, highlighting the fun of building absolutely massive armies, from the weakest grunts to the biggest nukes, which is a refreshing change from those lone soldier games. It's got loads of missions and provides a proper challenge. The breakdown gives it a 7/10 for graphics, a bit fuzzy bless it, 8/10 for sound, good stuff, a fantastic 9/10 for gameplay, building bases and sending lads to glorious death, what's not to love, and 8/10 for lastability. There's a handy tip, XTRA, explaining a slightly cheeky way to double your harvesters early on for more Tiberium cash. It's hailed as the best RTS on the N64, maybe the only one, forcing you to build a solid base and a balanced army. Other reviewers weigh in, generally agreeing it's a good, albeit perhaps slightly dated, strategy title, with some already eyeing up StarCraft as the next big thing. There's also a quick visual guide showing how to tackle Nod troops and structures using your commando. Solid stuff. F1 World Grand Prix 2 receives a mixed review. While the reviewer praises the sequel's realistic racing simulation, moving beyond the arcade style of the first game, he criticizes its heavy focus on realism. The reviewer, who experienced a crash, finds the game's detailed graphics and physics impressive, but also notes its ponderous performance compared to more arcade-style races. The improvements in replay features and track detail are highlighted, along with a tip to prioritize light fuel loads for improved speed. Overall, the review suggests F1 WGP2 is a significant step towards a simulation, but might be too intense for players accustomed to arcade racing. This page continues the look at F1 World Grand Prix 2, and blimey, they seem to like it a fair bit more here. It kicks off raving about the speed, claiming it feels about 5 times as fast as the original, which will apparently have your eyelids flapping. Quite the step up from the last page describing it as ponderous. The review dives into the handling, admitting it feels a bit fast at first, but settles into a realistic feel, calling the challenging corners an uphill battle. There's a cracking quote saying, "You can feel your heart pounding and your hair parting," which sounds just about right for a good F1 game. It gets a whopping 93%, declared the best F1 racing game ever, because it combines the original's goodness with blistering speed and that proper G-force feeling. The licensed teams and drivers are all present and correct in the motors section, though the reviewer has a bit of fun with some of the team descriptions. They give a useful tip to turn off auto-braking if you want to truly master the corners and steam past the computer. The breakdown scores are solid across the board, and the other views offer slightly different takes, including one chap suggesting you just stick to the first game. Madman! Overall, this page makes it sound like a cracking F1 racer that'll really test your mettle. This page jumps headfirst into the utterly bonkers concept that is Pokémon Snap. Shut your mouth indeed, because this ain't your typical monster battling affair. Instead, you're on a little rail car, trundling through Pokémon Island, and your sole mission is to snap glorious photos of the local wildlife. The page is plastered with charming Pokémon art and screenshots, showing off the various courses, like the beach, tunnel, river, and volcano. It's definitely off the rails, as the headline gleefully points out, stating it's one of the strangest, most quirky and brilliant ideas ever. You're tasked with getting good shots to impress Professor Oak, who frankly looks delighted with the whole thing. It's not about shooting or fighting, just timing your camera snaps right as you pass by Bulbasaur, Pikachu, Charmander, and all sorts of other critters. The text even jokes about the camera-shy creatures, and the effort required to get a good pic. Looks like it earned a sore thumb award, which either means it's frustratingly addictive or just brilliantly engaging. Proper oddball fun. This page carries on from the previous, confirming that Pokémon Snap is indeed a cracking bit of kit, scoring an impressive 91%. The review digs into why this bizarre picture-taking game works, describing it as mad but utterly addictive, drawing you in like a moth to a flame. In the breakdown, the graphics get a decent score for the Pokémon designs, even if the scenery is a bit uninspiring. Sounds just okay, mostly camera noise apparently, but the gameplay itself gets top marks for being spot on, and brilliantly bonkers. It also has pretty good lastability, meaning you'll keep coming back. There's a neat little tip about pestering Geodude for extra points, and a section with other folks' thoughts. Some find it addictive, others perhaps not violent enough, but overall it seems to hit the mark. Over on the right is a big advert for the Equalizer cheat cartridge, promising to help you even the odds in those frustrating 64 games by providing loads of cheats. This page gives us the lowdown on Shadowgate 64, the Trial of the Four Towers, and oh dear, it seems it didn't quite hit the mark, limping in with a score of just 60%. The reviewer, Noalie, volunteers expecting to review Shadowman but gets stuck with Shadowgate, much to her mock horror. It's described as a plodding, slow-paced adventure game, full of baffling puzzles that make Dr. Spock look logical. The main problem seems to be the lack of anything interesting happening, lots of wandering through dull rooms, and encountering painfully easy puzzles. The review contrasts it with games like Zelda, which are apparently far superior with more action and depth. The breakdown section echoes this, criticizing the dull graphics, repetitive sound, and slow gameplay, although it does suggest there's a decent amount of stuff to do if you can stay awake. The why not try section pretty much says just go play Zelda. Ocarina of Time instead, which sounds about right. Other folk chipping in agree it's rather boring and uninspiring. Looks like this one's best left in the dusty corners of the castle. Reader reviews for recent N64 games are mixed. Rogue Squadron scores vary widely, from 50% to 100%, with some praising it as a must-have, and others finding it underwhelming. South Park 64 receives mostly positive feedback, though a few critics found it less than stellar. Episode 1 Racer, however, receives overwhelmingly positive reviews, with many praising its speed, graphics, and track variety, calling it the best racer on the N64. Readers are encouraged to submit their own reviews, or into Norsa. This page is scattered with adverts down the left, flogging everything from console imports and game accessories like the questionable Shagtastic cushion, to services for placing your own ad space. But forget all that, the headline feature here is the announcement for the free F1 World Grand Prix 2 Minimag pullout. It seems they're doubling down on racing games, after all those glowing reader reviews for Episode 1 Racer on the last page. The main graphic for F1 World Grand Prix 2 is certainly eye-catching, boasting a rather special-looking green alien chap who's apparently rocking a necklace of pea pods, useful for a mid-lap snack, according to his speech bubble, which states, And the best thing about this outfit is, if I get hungry I can just tuck into this string of pea pods I've strapped to my neck. You also get a few glimpses of the racing action itself in the screenshots, giving you a taste of what to expect in the full pullout. This page kicks off the promised Minimag pullout for F1 World Grand Prix 2. And look who's back, it's our green friend from the last page, already celebrating victory with a bottle of bubbly. Apparently this guide will get you there. Boy too. Right then, it dives straight into the crucial stuff car setup. They stress finding the right balance for your driving style and the track. There's a breakdown of the key areas. Tires, which is pretty obvious really, choose them right for the conditions. Front and rear wings, not for taking off mind you but for downforce. More for tight circuits like Monte Carlo, less for the flat-out blast of Hockenheim. Suspension is covered too, softening it for bumpy rides or stiffening for smooth, fast tracks. Gears get a mention, balancing acceleration off the line with top speed down the straights. And finally, steering, how to make the thing actually go round corners, especially on faster courses. They also give you a heads up on the teams, suggesting you stick with the big boys like McLaren, Ferrari, Williams, or Benetton if you want the best chance of actually winning the championship. Apparently, there's a noticeable difference between the top squads and the others. Use those practice sessions to nail the setup and learn the circuits, they say. Sound advice really. Good luck, you'll need it. This page continues the F1 World Grand Prix 2 Minimag, and look, our favourite celebratory green chap is still here, clutching that bottle. He's even got a speech bubble now, warning us about getting green hairs on our chest if we drink. Rounga. That. Right then, back to the serious business of F1. This section breaks down the first 3 circuits on the calendar. Australia at Albert Park, Brazil at Interlagos, and Argentina at Buenos Aires. Australia sounds like a nice start, fast and open, with easy markers. Brazil, Interlagos, is apparently similar but with fewer landmarks, so keep your eyes peeled, and maybe add a bit more downforce there. Finally, Argentina at Buenos Aires is labelled as frustrating, requiring loads of control with tough hairpins and tight corners, suggesting less downforce and maybe harder tyres. For each track, they give you a run-through of key corners or sections with numbered steps and screenshots, showing you the ideal line and braking points. It's basically a guided tour on how to tackle the tricky bits of each circuit, helping you shave off those precious seconds and get those championship points. Good stuff if you want to master these tracks properly. This F1 circuit guide covers 3 iconic tracks: Imola, San Marino, Barcelona, and Monaco. Imola is described as fast, but with tricky chicanes and hairpins, suggesting lower wing settings. Barcelona, initially fast, requires good control through its corners, recommending a medium downforce setting. Monaco, the most famous and challenging, demands high downforce due to its narrow streets and numerous barriers. The guide provides detailed breakdowns of critical sections for each circuit, emphasizing the importance of precision for success. This page is a cracking bonus poster you'd get stuck on your bedroom wall. On the left, you've got 3 absolute titans of the wrestling world. Stone Cold Steve Austin, looking absolutely livid in his classic Austin 316 shirt, alongside Triple H and The Rock. Proper legends them. Keat. On the right side though, things get a bit darker with a menacing poster for the game Shadow Man. That face is proper unsettling, isn't it? All glowing eyes and strange colours, surrounded by skeletons and what looks like pure misery. Definitely gives you the chills, that one. A cool bonus poster, even if the wrestling side isn't exactly gaming related, Shadowman was a decent shout for a spooky N64 title. It's marked as a pro poster at the bottom, just in case you weren't sure what you were looking at. This page shows off the chilling artwork for the Shadowman game, presented as a bonus poster. On the left, rotated, is a massive unsettling face with glowing red eyes and purple markings, wearing a dark hat, properly creepy that. The game title Shadowman is printed vertically next to it. The right side, also rotated, shows the full figure of Shadowman suspended in a dark, murky void, surrounded by ethereal purple effects. It's a seriously atmospheric piece, perfectly capturing the dark and supernatural vibe of the game. You can see it's marked as a pro poster down the side. A great piece of art for the wall, if you were into the darker stuff on the N64. This page shows off the other side of that epic bonus poster. On the left, we've got the chilling face of Shadowman staring right at Ya through those spooky reflective glasses, with a hellish city burning behind him. The title Shadowman is plastered up there as well. And then, flipping it over, the right side dives headfirst into the glorious WWF Attitude Era. You've got the iconic Scratch logo, the Attitude slogan in bold, grungy lettering, and the legend himself, the Undertaker, looking menacing as ever. Get it? Indeed. A bit of a weird pairing, Shadow Man and the Dead Man, but two cracking posters on one sheet. Can't complain about that. Both sides are marked as Pro Poster, letting you know this was proper pull-out material back in the day. The Undertaker, looking like he's about to unleash hell on someone, is pure Attitude era gold, while Shadowman's poster is just pure, dark atmosphere. This page is a bit of a mixed bag. On the left, we've got a promotion for Nestle's Giant Smarties under the rather grand title, Mega Bites of Fun. It asks if you're smart enough to beat the giant. Well, it's a big chocolate button, not exactly the final boss, is it? Still, Smarties are proper good. The right side, however, is proper N64 Pro goodness. It's a detailed cheat zone guide for the Canada-Montreal circuit, specifically for a racing game. It tells you this is a very fast track and recommends a low wing angle setup, which is decent advice for getting top speed on the straights. It breaks down the track with a map and numbered sections, giving you essential tips for each corner and chicane, telling you exactly when to brake hard or apply the power. It's the sort of invaluable guide that shaved seconds off your lap times back in the day, helping you master those tricky chicanes and hairpins. A solid chunk of racing strategy from the N64 Pro cheat zone. The next page continues the excellent cheat zone guides for F1 World Grand Prix 2, picking up right where the Canada track left off. This time, we're tackling France's Magny Cours, Austria's A1 Ring, and the legendary Hockenheim in Germany. Each course gets the full treatment, a breakdown of the track layout with numbered corners, and detailed tips on how to nail every section. They give you the lowdown on braking points, where to apply the power, and the best lines to take, all backed up with those little screenshots showing you exactly what you should be seeing on screen. Magny Cours is described as another fast one, Austria is apparently uncomplicated with just a few tight spots, and Hockenheim is noted for its very long straights and tricky chicanes. These guides were essential back in the day, for shaving those precious tenths off your lap times, and leaving your mates in the dust. Proper solid advice for mastering these classic F1 circuits. The next page keeps the F1 World Grand Prix 2 cheat zone rolling, moving on to some more cracking circuits. First up is Hungary's Hungaroring, which they say is a bit of a tricky one with deceiving corners, requiring higher wing settings. They break down the key turns, with screenshots, showing you where to brake, and the lines to take. Then we hit Belgium's Spa, a proper legendary fast track with those massive straights, meaning low wing settings are the order of the day. The guide highlights the tight hairpin and the famous chicane, giving you the inside line on how to keep the speed up. Italy's Monza follows, another seriously quick circuit where concentration is key due to those long straights. It continues the format, guiding you through the chicanes and final corners to maintain maximum speed. Finally, Luxembourg's Nürburgring wraps it up, described as similar to Argentina, with fast bits broken up by tighter sections. It suggests a medium setup for balance, and walks you through the tricky corners and chicanes. Oh, and there's a rather pleased-looking alien chap down there claiming to be the greatest driver in the world, sounding a bit worse for wear by the sound of it. Good tips all around for anyone wanting to shave off those vital seconds. This page continues the F1 World Grand Prix 2 cheat zone, tackling the Suzuka circuit in Japan. It's described as the perfect track to end the season, known for deciding the championship, and a real test for drivers with its mix of fast and slow corners. The guide provides step-by-step instructions with screenshots for key sections, showing you how to navigate the tricky spends at the start, the tighter hairpins, and that final chicane before the finish line. It's all about finding the right braking points and lines to maintain speed. Oh look, the alien chap from the last page is back, still celebrating and demanding. Well, you can read it yourself, but he seems happy with the result. The rest of the page is a massive advert for Gameplay, Britain's supposedly largest mail-order supplier of computer games. It's mostly lists of N64 games and consoles with prices, promising low prices and quick delivery. There are also sections for accessories like controllers, memory cards, rumble packs, and even driving wheels. They also flog hint books and offer second-hand games. It's a bit much to list everything, but if you wanted an N64 kit back then, this was one place to get it by post. This page dives headfirst into the cheat zone with an official guide for Premier Manager 64. It's not all flashing lights and high speeds. As the alien chap from the previous page warns, this one's about sweating blood and tears. The main image features the familiar commentator pointing right at you, with a tactics board behind him, fittingly enough. The guide offers tips for becoming a top manager. You can choose the long haul with a Division 3 minnow, apparently facing financial woes and rain-lashed pitches, or pick a manager game to build your dream team. Though it warns this ride ain't easy. It gives pointers on team selection, suggesting you can splash the cash on the big clubs, but the directors will be watching. There's advice on pre-season training to avoid injury and tactics, boasting over 150 combinations to outwit the opposition. There's a small screenshot showing a match in progress, and another hinting at league results. Around the sides are the magazine's usual fixtures: Pro Arena for top gamers, back issues to fill gaps in your collection, Swap Shop for bargains, the Pro Crew membership, and You Reckon? For reader opinions. Plus, we see the G.am EBA character, and another chap with a net, adding to the magazine's eclectic mix. It's a proper guide to managing your way to glory on the N64, clearly for those who prefer tactical depth over arcade action. This page continues the deep dive into Premier Manager 64, picking up right where the last page left off with more managerial pearls of wisdom. Old King Kev is back, looking stressed on the phone this time, probably trying to haggle over a player's wages, while that creepy alien chap offers his 2 cents on the manager sacking screen. Yes, apparently getting the boot is a feature. The guide gets into the nitty-gritty with training, suggesting you tailor programs to each player, focusing on fitness over skill if needed, and even resting key players after big European nights. Then there's the finance section, advising you to motivate players with win bonuses, balance ticket prices so you don't scare the fans away, and get your sponsorship deals sorted sharpish. Transfers are covered next, bragging about a database of over 10,000 players. You'll need to scout everywhere for those hidden gems, and learn how to entice players with tempting contract offers, house and car included for foreign stars, naturally. Finally, Kevin Keegan himself weighs in with his quick do's and don'ts, basically boiling down to keeping players and fans happy, building a solid squad, and knowing your opposition. It's all about the business side of the beautiful game, isn't it? This page details cheat codes for various video games, offering unfair advantages. Rogue Squadron lets players use the Naboo Starfighter, while Episode 1 Racer requires specific fast race times to unlock characters. Duke Nukem 64 cheats include accessing secret menus, becoming invincible, disabling monsters, and skipping levels. A tip line for obtaining codes is also mentioned, referencing the expense and nostalgia of those days. Kitty. This page keeps the cheat fest going, doesn't it? Following on from the last one, we've got more ways to break the rules. First up, WWF Warzone, showing you how to get into the basement cheat menu. Bit weird that, and unlock all sorts of things like characters, modes, and even make heads big or wrestlers dizzy. You have to put the graft in though, beating challenge mode with specific blokes like Brett, Owen, Kane, or even The Undertaker to get these goodies. Then there's Quake 2, where you can unleash some proper chows with codes for low gravity. Imagine the GIBS floating about, infinite ammo, and even unlock a bonus level called Twists. There's a slightly baffling note about a random wrestler selection code shoved in there too. Seems a bit out of place really. Over on the wrestling front again, we've got WCW versus NWO World Tour with a load of tips and unlockables. These are proper old school wrestling game tactics, teaching you how to escape pins, do special moves, and unlock legends like Diamond Dallas Page, Randy Savage, and Goldberg's mate, Roth. Looks like you'll be spending a lot of time in League Challenge mode if you want everyone. Benduk. Finally, just like the last page, there's the trusty N64 controller diagram in case you've forgotten where the buttons are, and the Tipags helpline number again if you're desperate for codes, and don't mind paying £1.50 a minute for the privilege. Ah, nostalgia. This page right here is where the legends are forged. Welcome to the Pro Arena, where the best of the best show off their skills as gaming gladiators. It's all about high scores and blistering times on a heap of N64 favorites. We've got everything from the icy slopes of 1080 snowboarding, and the treacherous waves of Wave Race 64, to blasting baddies in GoldenEye 007, and navigating the tricky tracks of Diddy Kong Racing and F-Zero X. There's even Ocarina of Time thrown in, featuring not just speedruns but actual fishing scores. Yes, someone landed a £34 whopper. Impressive, I suppose, if you're into that sort of thing. Names like Richard Dunn, Andrew Mills, and Stuart Richards seem to dominate multiple leaderboards across various games. Clearly dedicated players putting in the hours. Seeing these names takes you back, doesn't it? The ultimate bragging rights was getting your name in the magazine for being top of the class in a game. And if you were good enough, you might even bag yourself a free Pro Crew membership. Just like the chap who caught the giant fish. Proper gaming royalty, these lot. This page continues the high-score extravaganza in the Pro Arena, featuring more legendary times and scores from the N64 Elite. We've got Banjo-Kazooie speedruns and specific area times, Star Wars, Rogue Squadron mission times, Lilac Wars, that's Star Fox 64 to you Yanks, highest hits, Mario Kart 64 track times, and even Weetrix scores a proper mix of challenges there. You see those names again: Richard Dunn, Generic Spangberg, Kevin Sini. Mario Kart? These lads were absolutely crushing it back then across multiple games, proper gaming gladiators, putting everyone else to shame. If you thought you were good, you had to send in your proof and challenge these champions for a chance to get your name in the mag. They were even teasing new arenas for Wipeout 64 and Episode 1 Racer, so plenty more chances to claim glory were on the horizon. Flip over to the right, and the classic back issues section. Before the days of just clicking a button, you had to fill out a form and post it off to get your hands on those old issues you missed. They're flogging them for £4 a pop, showing off the covers and promising all sorts of guides and freebies inside. A nice little trip down memory lane seeing those old covers, reminding you of the absolute bangers that came out month after month. Just fill in the form, stick a stamp on it, and hope they haven't all sold out. The swap shop page in a retro gaming magazine was a dedicated space for trading and selling unwanted Nintendo 64 games. Readers posted wanted and not wanted lists, showcasing desires for games like Star Wars Racer and distaste for titles like Rally 99. The main section featured individual ads for swapping or selling classic N64 games like GoldenEye, Zelda, and Mario Kart. A swap of the month and blag of the month highlighted notable trades. The right side served as a community message board, with readers seeking pen pals, debating games, asking for cheats, and expressing opinions. The page included forms for readers to submit their requests and offers, highlighting the magazine's community-driven approach. The next page is a full-on recruitment drive for the N64 Pro Crew membership club. It features Stan from South Park looking a bit shocked, promising the magazine delivered early with some rather colourful language, and loads of exclusive benefits like a monthly fanzine, mystery gifts, extra cheats, and members-only competitions. You even get the magazine cheaper by joining. Kenny. There's a cool shot of someone modelling the exclusive Pro Crew t-shirt, which looks pretty sharp with that alien logo. They show off some past magazine covers featuring brilliant games like Star Wars Racer, Lego Racers, and South Park proper classics those. The page details how to join, offering payment by check, postal order, credit card, or the super convenient direct debit. Signing up by direct debit even enters you into a monthly draw to win a G64 steering wheel and pedals, which is an excellent bit of kit for getting the most out of your Zen 64 racers. It lists the prices for membership and gives you all the info on where to send your form. They even make it easy with a free post address. Seems like a top way to stay ahead of the game and get some extra goodies. This page is the classic letters section, you reckon, where the readers get to sound off. And sound off they do. There's a cracking letter from Robert Finking absolutely tearing into the magazine, accusing them of selling out and being written by mindless morons. Bit harsh, eh? He's fuming about Dreamcast adverts creeping in, bless him. The editor gives a response that's pure gold, basically saying they're popular now, and success brings adverts, like it or not. Then you've got the letter of the month from Mike Walsh, who takes on some previous correspondents he clearly thinks are clueless. He's a proper N64 evangelist, listing loads of classic games like GoldenEye, Turok 2, Mario Kart, Banjo-Kazooie and Lilac Wars, arguing the N64 is the superior console over the PlayStation and Dreamcast. The editor debates some points but largely backs the N64 cause, calling the Dreamcast rubbish. Visually, it's a busy page with the editor's cartoon mug, a big picture of Katie Holmes, which gets mentioned in another letter asking them to keep putting pictures of Buffy in close enough. A Dreamcast console looking all futuristic for the time, a Worms character on a grenade, and a strange boxing kangaroo. A great snapshot of the console wars brewing, and the readers having their say. The next page carries on with the readers having their say in, you reckon? Visually, it's packed with classic N64 goodness, featuring the whole Ocarina of Time crew Link, Zelda, Ganondorf, and even young Link, looking ready for an adventure. There's also some Pokemon action with Geodude and Charmander. And even Yoda makes an appearance alongside a Star Wars Queen, hinting at games covered. Readers are still firing off their opinions. Some are complaining about certain developers making what they see as rubbish games on the N64, while giving props to the likes of Rare and Konami. Another fella reckons Nintendo should knock up a light gun game like Virtua Cop, which, let's be honest, would have been class. There's even a slightly brutal letter, taking the Mickey out of the editor's mug on a previous cover, which is just typical really. And of course the Pokemon craze is in full swing, with someone asking about release dates and bigging up the magazine's cheats and posters. The editor's back with the usual witty put-downs and explanations, keeping things lively. And you've got a cracking readers gallery showing off some of the fantastic art people have sent in. This page is pure nostalgia fuel, isn't it? It's a big old advert from Computer Exchange, or SEX as we know them now. They're basically having a go at people who talk rubbish about games, and declaring that they are the real experts. They reckon they know their stuff about everything from Street Fighter versions to which FIFA was actually decent, and they're the place to go to buy, sell, or trade your gear. They've got lists of second-hand games and accessories for PlayStation, Nintendo 64, Sega Saturn, and even Game Boy Color, showing you what prices you might expect, though obviously these change like the wind. The real big news here is the push for the Sega Dreamcast. They're doing an import special for £149.99, or you can trade in your old console and games for a massive reduction. You can see some cracking screenshots promoting it, like the zombie blasting in House of the Dead 2, the speed of Sonic Adventure and Sega Rally 2, the cool tricks in Cool Borders, epic fights in Soul Calibur and Virtua Fighter 3 TB, fishing in Get Bass, and the style of Metropolis Street Racer and Shenmue. Proper top-tier stuff. Doris. They also list all their shop locations across the country and have details for mail order if you couldn't get to a store, promising free delivery and even next-day shipping if you ordered early enough. It's basically saying, we know our games, come do business with us. The next page is all about the Game Boy Color, declaring it's taking over the nation with loads of amazing games. It sets the scene with the What's the Score section, showing how reviews are rated top stuff, not bothered, and the absolutely crushing, well ropey, Gorka, because who doesn't love a game you just want to chuck out the window? Quant. There are reviews for classic shooters like R-Type DX, looking great in color, and Rare's attempt at an RPG with Conker's Pocket Tales, which sounds like it didn't quite hit the mark despite the potential. Spy vs. Spy brings the retro fun with setting traps and split-screen chows. Warrington, we also get previews for some big hitters coming soon. Duke Nukem is landing on the GBC, looking surprisingly decent. Micro Machines, Twin Turbo promises classic top-down racing with tons of tracks. WWF WrestleMania 2000 is on the way for wrestling fans, featuring folks like Vince McMahon. Tiger Woods PGA 2000 is aiming for a realistic golf experience. And F1 World Grand Prix is reviewed, showing the GBC pushing 3D graphics for fast-paced racing. The news section is exciting too. Pokémon is apparently the fastest-selling Game Boy title ever in the US, and everyone's getting a new one every minute. But the big news, Nintendo is working on 6 new Zelda games for the GBC, some based on old adventures, some brand new, being developed with the studio behind Resident Evil. Now that's something to look forward to. This page throws us straight into the N64 Buyer's Guide, kicking things off in Nintendo Park with a rather eclectic mix of characters like Rayman, Angelica from Rugrats, Superman and Mario, all hanging about under a big wooden sign. There's a chap in safari gear claiming he's bagged some blinders and a bounder. Tally-ho! And Mario's looking for a peach of a game, naturally. We've got Parky's Top 5 list, which features absolute classics like Zelda at number 1. Hunt down a copy, and you'll never go out again. IS-98, best football game I've ever seen. And GoldenEye, an amazing shooter. Banjo-Kazooie gets a nod as a wonderful specimen of a jumper. And World Driver is hailed as the best GT racer. The main event here is the shooting genre breakdown, with a whole host of titles ranked by score. GoldenEye, unsurprisingly, gets a whopping 96% and is called the best shooter ever. Turok 2 and Duke Nukem 0 Hour score high too at 94% and 92% respectively, lauded for their visuals, humor, and gameplay. Even South Park 64 gets a respectable 92%, despite the turkeys and swearing. Quake 64, Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, and the new entry Quake 2 are also present, showing plenty of fast-paced action is available. Further down the list you see games like Doom 64, Buck Bumble, Robotron 64, Shadows of the Empire, and others, rounding out the category. Lots of options if you fancy blasting something. This buyer's guide focuses on racing games and accessories. Rumble packs, essential add-ons for extra game action, are recommended, ranging in price from £10 to £18. Racing games are highlighted, with World Driver C and F1 World Grand Prix receiving top marks. Other notable titles include classics like 1080 Snowboarding and Mario Kart 64. Steering wheels, from budget-friendly options to high-end models like the Top Gear Logic, £70, are also recommended for an enhanced racing experience. This page continues the buyer's guide, kicking off with a look at N64 joypads, arguably the most important accessory for getting stuck into those multiplayer sessions. It shows off 7 different controllers, judging the official Nintendo pad as the absolute best, reliable, and a joy to use, though it comes in at £19.99. There are cheaper alternatives, like the Manta Ray and Shark Pad Pro 64, at £14.99, some described as chunky, funky, or having inventive designs. Others, like the G64 controller and the Macapad 64, get a bit of a rougher ride, with comments about being ugly, uncomfortable, or working badly, despite prices up to £19.99. Below that, the guide dives into a ranked list of games, picking up from wherever the last page left off. This section covers a real mix of genres, from fighting games like Mortal Kombat Trilogy and Fighter's Destiny, to puzzle games like Buster Move 99 and Weetrix, and even some racing titles like Cruisin' World and California Speed. The ratings vary wildly, giving a sense of which games were well received, and which the reviewer thought you should probably avoid, with notes on player count, price, and whether they support the expansion pack or rumble pack. Scattered throughout the page are some quirky cartoon characters, with speech bubbles adding a bit of commentary, like the one reminding you not to mix socks and sandals. Sound advice that. This buyer's guide explores N64 accessories and games. Memory packs, for saving game progress, are discussed, ranging from budget to premium options. The guide then categorizes games by genre. Platforms, high praise for Banjo-Kazooie; sports, high ratings for various titles; and other stuff, expansion packs and game hacking devices. The Game Boy Color is also highlighted. Warrington. The next page jumps straight back into the buyer's guide, with some familiar faces like Peach and Rayman, who's making a rather bold statement about rescuing the princess himself. We've got a load more games covered, continuing the sports theme from the last page, with high scorers like NFL Quarterback Club 99 getting 86% and WCW vs NWO grabbing 80%. We've also got NBA Jam 99 and NHL Breakaway 99 in the mix, showing the range of sports sims available. Then it's on to the serious stuff, the adventure, and other stuff, featuring the legendary Zelda 64, which scores a whopping 98%. Absolutely deserved best game ever made, end of story. We also see high ratings for Mission Impossible at 92%, Blast Core at 84%, and Castlevania at 88%. There's a funny little comment about Link's friend's eyebrows too. Finally, there's a section for Parky's top 5 guides, listing strategy guides for popular games like Zelda, Turok, and Castlevania. It's a solid roundup of what was hot on the N64, and some helpful tips on how to get through them. This page jumps straight into the Game Boy Color world. After all that N64 action, we're switching gears to handhelds. We've got a buyer's guide, packed with games, each featuring a little Game Boy character mascot giving a thumbs up. We're seeing classics like Legend of Zelda and Super Mario Deluxe, both described as amazing. Tetris DX is hailed as one of the best puzzle games ever made, and Harvest Moon sounds like a proper charming farming sim. There are other titles too, from Frogger and Lucky Luke to Wario Land 2 and Super Breakout, covering platformers, shooters, and puzzle games. Most of these are listed around the £24.99 mark. Then we move on to the Game Boy goodies, showing off some essential accessories. There's a protector case for keeping your console safe, a travel pack bag that looks like a TARDIS, apparently, the pulse pack for rumble feedback, and a big old super zoom screen magnifier. They also show off power packs and a bum bag, very stylish for the time, I assure you. Finally, there's a competition section, Parky's Big Game Hunt. You've got to answer 12 questions, based on the games listed on the page, to spell out a prize. Looks like a bit of fun for the eagle-eyed readers. This magazine preview boasts a Rugrats, Scavenger Hunt, N64 preview, and teases upcoming N64 releases like Dinosaur Planet and Donkey Kong 64. It also heavily spotlights Perfect Dark, calling it potentially the greatest game ever. A Command & Conquer cheat guide is included. A large advertisement for Special Reserve, a discount gaming club, features N64, PlayStation, and Game Boy Color games and accessories, plus free gifts. The issue also highlights a 93% rated Body Harvest for a low price.